Hello everybody, welcome back. PieCover here. Today I want to talk about how you unstuck a transaction in the Mempool. So the other day I found myself in that situation and I was using a wallet software that didn't allow me to do RBF. Basically RBF is replaced by fee, right? Replaced by a higher fee. So basically, if you send a transaction and it doesn't go through because the fee you choose was too low, you could basically choose a higher fee to make that transaction go through, right? So that's the sender option, right? If you are the sender, you have that option to bump the fee so transaction can go, right? But my wallet software didn't allow me to bump the fee. So the receiving side of the transaction, I basically couldn't do anything. I didn't have an option to bump the fee and speed up the transaction. And the transaction was in the mempool for days because of the fee problem, right? Because of the congestion and stuff like that. I wouldn't call it congestion. I think it's just a wait time, and it's all a free market. If you want your transaction to go, you just have to pay a little bit higher, just to make sure a miner have the incentive to mine it, right? Because they spend a lot of energy, so it's up to them if they want to include your transaction or not, if they want to mine it for you. So what I did, basically, I discovered a feature that's called a child paid for parent. So child paid for parent, it's a CPFP. It's like you can do it in any wallet, but you have to be the receiver, right? The way you speed up that transaction, you go, let's say you are going to receive that transaction. Let's say you're going to receive 100,000 sats, right? So you take that 100,000 sats. It's showing that you're going to receive it, right? The wallet will show you that this transaction is incoming, but it's not confirming yet. There's no confirmation that you already have it. So what you can do, you can take that 100,000 sats. You can even send it to yourself if you want, and then send it to the same address you are receiving it. But you put a higher fee, like a fee that's high enough so that the miner will have an incentive to mine that transaction. But now, before the miner mine the transaction the receiver will do, right? Like the transaction you're about to do, before the miner mine it, they have to mine the transaction that's already stuck first, because it has to go through first. You see, the first transaction have to go through first before the second go through, right? But the miner like money, right? Because they like money, they're gonna be like, oh, I need that money. This is very attractive. I want to make that money. And then the miner gonna go, okay, give me your money. But before he process this transaction, right, it's gonna go on the mempool. It's gonna say child pay for parent transaction, and then you're gonna have to mine that stock transaction, and then process the new transaction the receiver is doing, right? And then it's basically, yeah, it's all done. So it's a fascinating way of looking at how Bitcoin incentives, like the free market incentives and the fee, the profit incentives. You see, Bitcoin is all about profit minded. If there's an incentive to make money, then the miners will go there, right? The incentives are aligned to profit motive, right? They need to have an incentive to make it. So now that's why that's why miners cannot censor transaction in most cases, right? Because they will be losers. They will be losing money. Let's say they say, hey, they don't want to process transaction from Iran or from places like Russia. What they would do, they would let the miners in China process that transaction, right? They have to pull mining pool in China would say, hey, I don't care. I just need my satoshis. I just need my money, and if somebody wanna pay me higher fee, of course I'm gonna process it. They don't care. They're probably not gonna have to run the software to check the transaction and where that transaction came from. They're just gonna the profit motive will just push them to validate your transaction because you pay for it. You see, so as long as you have enough money to pay for a transaction, it cannot be stored in the mempool. It cannot be censored. So, which is the opposite of the fiat system. The SWIFT system, doesn't matter how much money you have to pay for fees. If they don't want your transaction to go through, they will not let it go through. And also, not only that, the watchers who are watching you, they are individuals. They are biased individuals, right? Biased countries. But in Bitcoin, it's basically machines, computers. Computers don't most of the time they don't have biased opinion. They don't care if you're doing that to buy whatever you want to buy online. They don't care if you a protester. They don't care about that. They just want to process the transaction fee. It's just information to them, right? Bitcoin is information. It's just digits and numbers, right? So anyway, I just find it fascinating and amazing how you can do that. But I just discovered that very recently. I find that. But to be honest, I used to do that, for example, but I didn't know if it was okay. I thought it was like a sneaky way to do it. So I used to have the transaction coming in and it's not processing, and I used to unknowingly send that transaction, right? When I'm the receiver, I send it to another address that I own, that I bump the fee. I put the fee pretty high, and then the miner again, he take the fee, and then he process the transaction first before just after he processed the payment transaction. So, but I used to do it unknowingly, right? But this is why you cannot double spend on Bitcoin. The reason why, for example, I said the transaction, the first transaction has to process first. The miner have to process the parent transaction. It's because you don't want to have double spend. That's what the miner marathon pool was trying to do the other day. They lose $10,000 in Bitcoin for transaction fees, right? And they lose 6.25 Bitcoin, the mining reward. So what they did basically, they trying to disorder the transactions. They put the child transactions before parent transactions. So you can't do that. And then what happened is the transaction was the block was invalid, right? Because the block was invalid because it didn't follow the consensus rule. The nodes reject that block. They reject that block, and even though they mine it, they spend energy, time, and effort and all those things, but because they didn't they was not acting according to the rules of the game, so they lose that money. They lose all that money. That's a lot of money. 6.25 Bitcoin plus $10,000 in Bitcoin. Think about that. So the next miner or the next mining pool will find that block, right? Another miner have to go mine it again and find it. And then what they did, they organized the block, the transaction properly this time. So they just put the first transaction go first, second, third, and they put the transaction in order, right? In proper order, following the consensus rules. And then by doing so, they process and then they win the block and they get the reward and everything goes smooth. And then marathon pool, so lose that block and they lose everything. They lose all the transaction fees. So this is what happened when you're not behaving good in Bitcoin, right? And it's all happen automatically, right? It happened there's no like third party. There's no like central controller to say, oh, this is bad, you did this. There's no. The consequence is physics. You lose money. You did wrong. You was not following the rules. Then you lose money. That's physical consequences, because all this energy is gone. You lose it. So this is what I like about Bitcoin. There's consequence, right? You jump off the bridge, right? You break your leg, right? Just like in the physical world, right? There's no, you can't jump off the bridge and then I have to break my leg for you, right? No, you break your own leg, right? So this is a problem next time. So now you're gonna behave better now, right? Now I'm betting like Marathon Pool will never do that again, right? They will behave very nice, right? Because they know there's consequence. They will lose money. So this is what happened in Bitcoin, and this is why it's so beautiful. And this is why it's all tied up to what I was talking about, the process your transaction, just by providing a say you have a higher fee, and then you will get a faster transaction process. So anyways, I love having you guys listening. Thank you for listening. This was PieCover, and I will see you guys again in the next talk, and I hope you enjoy that. I hope you find value, and again, I'll see you again. And this was beautiful. Thank you very much for listening. This was PieCover.